Howdy folks, my name's Reagan. Welcome back to the GWP Homestead. I have a few more things I want to try and tackle on my 1945 Ford 2N, and the first of those is to replace the carburetor. Now I'm actually not rebuilding, kind of refurbishing my original carburetor. We got the new one that you see on the left side of the screen there was a replacement carburetor. It came with the tractor when I bought it, but it's complete junk and pieces are breaking off, and I'm just trying to kind of rob what I can out of it. The main jet, the idle jet, the choke valve, a few other kind of odd and end type pieces out of it, but it's really not holding up. If I knew what it was, I would strongly advise against purchasing that unit. But regardless, I'm doing what I can to replace some of those pieces. If you are interested in rebuilding a carburetor, I am not the guy to teach you that, but I am going to link the video that I used by Rachel Gingell. That link's in the description, so watch that video, super helpful. But the replacement process is really easy. It's just a couple of bolts and unscrewing that fuel line, that nut that holds the fuel line to the carburetor, as well as disconnecting that throttle cable and choke cable. Taking those off and working that carburetor out of there, and putting the new one back in. Once you get back in there, if you need to readjust the jets or anything, it's a really simple process. Rebuilding it is a little bit more involved, but I've done worse things for sure. The next thing I want to replace on this tractor are these steps. This one is not too bad. This is on the right side of the tractor, but the one on the left-hand side is not in good shape, and since I already have a new set of steps that came with the brackets, let's see if I can get it in frame here. I have a matching set of those, left and right side. I'll go ahead and replace them since, that way they'll match. Eventually I'd like to paint that, but that's really not a concern at all. I just want to get these going. So let's get the camera in here and get to work, and it seems like a pretty straightforward process. We'll just unbolt that bracket back here, lift the plate off, put the new one on, reattach a new bracket. The new bracket will install on this brake pedal. Try not to bump the camera, Reagan. The crud falling out of there. Started that bolt through that bracket before I put it on here because I was a little concerned that it wouldn't fit. It's kind of strange the way it went on there, but that's the way it went, so that's the way I'm going to leave it. Once I got it started, it threaded on there fine, but I was just scared that it wasn't going to go, and it didn't make sense to put it the other way. So we're going to leave it alone. Old step. New step. New step. The bar is bent. We need to get it back where it's supposed to go. Ooh, baby. That ain't gonna fly. Okay, I think that will work. Now we just gotta, that'll just rest there. Bolt that back in there, tighten that bolt on the bracket down, and we'll move on to the other side. Best I can tell, somebody fabric cobbled this step here together. It's got a big split there in the middle, and so this is just not great. It's wrapped around the brake and clutch, that stem that goes from the tire into the transmission axle part thingy. So we're just going to replace that, make it brand new, nice. Now that we've done it on the other side, the easier side, that will work just fine. On our last video on this tractor, we put this rain flapper on to keep water from building up in our exhaust pipe, just in case this thing's ever left out in the rain. Hopefully not, but you know, vertical pipe, let's put a flapper on it. It wasn't very long after that video, I think it was actually the next time I drove the tractor. Don't believe that's supposed to happen. One of these days I'll learn how to weld, and until that point, just gonna take the flapper off, put it right on top of that open pipe there, rocking the no muffler. The world's shortest exhaust pipe. We're gonna start this oil change off by taking the filter out. Filter's in this little canister here on the side. I'm gonna take this out first, so basically the top of this system is open, and whenever we let take the plug out of the bottom, it drains quicker. At least that's the hope. So it comes out of there just like that. There's a little spring on the bottom, so we don't want to lose any of that. Let's set it to the side. And I remember having a problem with this particular oil filter before. New one's got a nice little carry handle on it. This old one does not. And this is the oil pan. That's the drain plug right there. This is a 1-inch on my tractor. So you might double check yours, but that's what I'd go underneath here with. Nasty looking stuff. One thing worth paying attention to is the gasket. Right there. Went ahead and bought a new one. No telling how old this is, and I like to keep the oil in my equipment inside the equipment. So for a couple dollars. Ah, it's not rubber. And that ought to do it. Now that we've got the plug back down there in the bottom of the oil pan, I'm going to add my oil. The capacity on this tractor is 6 quarts. So I'm going with 5 quarts of 15W40, 5 quarts of that, and then a quart of heavy duty oil stabilizer from Lucas. I've read it can bring up the pressure, oil pressure on these old engines. So we are going to hope that's the case. While that's refilling, we'll go ahead and replace the oil filter. It's a Wix 51010 if you are purchasing a Wix brand filter. If you aren't purchasing a Wix brand filter, you can find it somewhere else. Find something else to use. You do want to be mindful as this goes down. Come on, where are you at? Ugh. Boy, that was stubborn. I threw oil everywhere. That's okay. That'll be just fine. It's part of it. You know, this one's got a lip on top of it there, so that's all good. Be mindful of the gasket. It's right there. I have to wash my pocket knife after this. This is the oiliest I've ever gotten during an oil change. First time I've ever filmed an oil change too. How about that? Amazing what that camera does. Gasket in this lid. You might be able to reuse it. I don't know if I'd recommend it. The filter I bought came with a replacement filter, or O-ring gasket, excuse me. And so I'm just going to use it. And yes, I'm aware I just used a knife to pry that out of there, and now I'm tearing this package open with my hands. I understand. I don't think this is a Mercedes. I'm a Mercedes. Mercedes and Benz wish they could build a piece of equipment like this fine Ford implement. Oop, hold that down. Thread that on. This nut on top of the oil filter canister here is a 7/8, and really it's somewhere between a 7/8 and a 13/16, but we know it's not metric. So some point between earlier and now, I dropped my 7/8 that I was using in my oil bucket down there beneath me. So way to go, Reagan. 2 points for you. That's on there good and tight. I think that process is done. And that's complete.